Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, streaming live on YouTube. We're on Facebook. And, of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. We back, baby. Let's go! Oh, yeah. Coming up today, we pick up the State of the Unit series, right? And we're talking about the deepest unit, one of the deepest units, I believe, in the entire National Football League. And that's the Cowboys defensive end room. We're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into each player from the bottom of the roster all the way to the top. And, of course, you can call into the show if you want to at 351-999-3787. Cowboys Nation, come on in and have a good time with your boy. Shout out to those who make this, in my opinion, the number one Dallas Cowboys morning show. And that's the Bomb Squad.
Bomb Squad!
Y'all are the best, and a super happy Father's Day to all of the Bomb Squad fathers out there. Salute to you guys. I want to shout out Pat No-C Walker as well. He dropped his Conversation podcast was a Father's Day edition, and man, if y'all didn't listen to that one there, y'all definitely got to check that out. Definitely hit home on a lot of fronts, and I think it's a great podcast to listen to in general, but that was a Father's Day one. So shout out to all the fathers out there. I know y'all good ones, but the good ones out there, the ones who are handling their business from every aspect, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, raising their child in any way they can do so, whether you're with them physically or you're with them emotionally or spiritually. I salute y'all. I salute guys like my guy Lee in the building, Sean, fathers that I've seen be a father up close and personal. Obviously, my father's in my life. And, we don't ask for a pat on the back, but I do feel like I try to be the best father I can be to my children. And so salute to y'all, man. Salute to y'all. Happy Father's Day, Bomb Squad. One more time.
Bomb Squad!
Yeah, I was out the last couple days. Obviously, Juneteenth yesterday, and then Friday, just kind of getting some things together. There will be a slight change to the schedule, likely starting next week. I'll have more on that later this week. I still will be here most of the week, but we're going to try to adjust it during this dead period. So I'll let y'all know specifically what that will be. Probably sometime, what's the day? Tuesday? Sometime later this week. I'll let y'all know. I got you. Still going to be here, but it'll be an altered schedule. I do know I'll be out Monday traveling this week and won't be back till late Sunday. So I will be out Monday, but I'll keep y'all up to date. Because look, that's what we got to do, man. We family here, Cowboys Nation. All right. Now to the meat and potatoes of today's show. Again, no roundup, not a whole lot out there. There was some small Cowboys news, but I want to save that for our next State of the Unit series segment, and we'll talk about that later this week. But today we're talking defensive ends, man. Talking defensive ends, and I think this unit, as I said at the top of the show, is not only one of the deepest unit on the team, likely. You can argue safety maybe, but I think this might be it. But one of the deepest units in the entire league, especially when you factor in the MPP. Shout out to Baldy for that, which is a Micah Parsons problem, right? But last year, it was one of the best units in the league. It produced at a high rate. tailed off a bit towards the end, but I don't think due to their fault. Like, they produced at such a high rate without really much help consistently from the interior or from quarterback 2, if we're being honest. Quarterback 2 was so bad at one point. It was like offensive coordinators and quarterbacks can just look out there and say, oh, well, I don't care about your MPP and Demarcus Lawrence and Doran Armstrong and Sam Williams. And I don't care about those guys because I can just get the ball off real quick. So with the Cowboys upgrading cornerback 2, upgrading the interior, barring injury, this unit should definitely be better, which is scary because this unit was fantastic last year. It was fantastic. So I'm just saying, look out. So we're going to talk about all these guys from the bottom of the roster on up. And if you, like I said, if you want to call in, you can, but give me a few. I want to get through at least the first part of this, and then I'll get to your 945. I see you're already on the line. So let's go ahead and get this thing started, and let's begin at the back of the roster. Now I'm gonna break this thing down into 2 different layers, and I got this idea from our lads. If you go look on our lads, they have the Cowboys room, defensive end room listed 2 different ways. They have them listed as edge rushers, right? Defense ends. And then they have Leo edge guys. And we'll talk about both of those categories, what they mean or whatnot. So we're going to start with the defensive ends, pure-ish defensive ends. And if you look at the back half of this, the bottom half, what would have you, you're talking about a Tyrus Wheat. You're talking about the new defensive end they just signed from the Colts, a free agent, I believe it's Ben Banogu, and then Junior Fehoko. Now, when it comes to Wheat and Banogu, we're likely talking about those guys competing for special team snaps, man, if we're being completely honest, because the room is extremely deep. And then you obviously have pedigree in regards to draft guys. They're gonna hold that ranking. But that, I do think they have to show something from an edge standpoint, right? Like, these guys got to show that they can do something in case they're called upon. It's a deep room. They might not be, but just in case. Banogu started off decent his rookie year. Then he just never could find his way in Indianapolis, and he became a special teams guy last year. Tyrus Wheat, we talked about this last week when we talked about some of the undrafted dudes. He's a part of that trio that if he shows something, he might make things difficult for a veteran on this team, whether it be in his room or whether it be in a different room. But those 2 guys, I don't think they're going to be competing for actual playing time in 2023. But a guy like Wheat could push somebody off the roster for the future. And that's kind of the roster gymnastics the Cowboys are going to have to play this year. They are, in my opinion, a better roster than they were last year. So it's going to be hard for these type of dudes to make the team. And you're looking at a run. Like, you've got a team to compete for a Super Bowl. So do you risk cutting a better player now for a potentially better outlook in the future? That's something they're going to be juggling throughout the entire training camp, in my opinion. But I can't wait to see what this guy Wheat has down there. Then you got Fehoko. Interesting case with Junior Fehoko because he could either be 3-tech now or he could be defensive end now, 3-tech later. And the reason why I have to phrase it that way is because new defensive line coach Sharif Floyd came out and said, hey, maybe next year or at some point we're going to be looking to move him into 3-tech. Dan Quinn says he'll probably be playing more between edge and 3-tech as well. So I actually had a hard time putting him here, but I had to right now because I don't think he's going to be able to put on enough off-season peanut butter to be a full-time 3-tech. Apologies if you can hear that. My next door neighbor's getting their grass cut. But Fehoko, I do think at some point will move inside. However, I am skeptical. I usually will sit back and listen to the coaches and believe a lot of what they have to say, but I'm skeptical when I hear Sharif Floyd say that, he's going to get on the field this year or DQ. I don't know if he said it, but if he said it, he's going to get on the field in year 1. If it's going to be at defensive end, boy, he better come out swinging. You know what I'm saying? And I like the prospect for the future, especially as he's putting on some offseason peanut butter. He already has the violent hands, the motor. You know, we talk about the Island Boys, right? I always wanted one. I used to think about having one on the interior, right? But they play with a different strength, a different hunger, a different motor for some odd reason. And we finally got one. Now we kind of had one in I believe it was Anai, but Anai had a big bag, right? Like he had some tools. I don't know, just something about Fehoko's game that differs a bit in my opinion though. So Junior Fehoko, he's going to make this team as a 4th round pick. There's no way they're cutting him, right? It's just a matter of where will they play Junior his rookie season, because that I think will determine how much he gets on this field. I don't think he could. I just don't think he can see the field that much as a pure defensive end. I can't see that, man. This room is way too deep. It has its staple guys in a DA, Demarcus Lawrence. It's up and coming guy in Sam, and then obviously the MPP. He plays defensive end a lot as well. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think Junior makes a team. I just think he might be a guy that could say Ghostin in year one, because Ghostin played a good bit. He could just, it wouldn't shock me if he actually did not suit up. Now we're early, it's June. And I'm not saying this because of him. I'm just saying because of the numbers game. Things could change completely. He could knock off a guy like Dante Fowler off this team. But as we speak right now, I just don't see where Junior gets in the 46 on game day. And I don't think that's crazy to think. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's crazy to think. Let's get in the chat, see what y'all got to say about Fehoko. Chris said Fehoko is going to be the same as Bradley and I, hyped up late rounder who didn't do much. Chris, I mean, I'm not going to go that far just quite yet, but I get the skepticism. Anai, I like Anai, man. He got a chance and he had a couple good reps in that Chargers game, but I just think he just couldn't punch through what ended up being a pretty solid unit. And then he went on his way, and I think he was in New York, and I don't know what he's doing now. But I like Anai, but I'm not going to go as far as write off Fehoko just yet, but I do think it's going to be tough for Fehoko to crack the roster, game day roster this season. Things can change, the following season, though. Boy, they over there really cutting that. And it's like my studio is up here and they cutting grass. It's the next door neighbor is a little bit, some feet over, and it's right there. Eesh. Slim said, Fehoko was coming and he's built like a bull with A+ hustle. That's one thing I do appreciate. And Rod did this too. Let me slow down because Rod was this way. But Dan Quinn and these guys are going after dudes with motors. You're not going to come on this defensive line and not have a motor. And that's something that you'll see we talk about a lot here. DC Hardhitter says, do I think Fehoko makes the roster? Oh, absolutely. They're not cutting a 4th round pick. Like, the Fehoko's making the roster. It's a matter of, will he play? Let me anybody believe Fehoko will play? I want to hear that real quick. And let me get to 945 as we talk about this. 945, you are on and you are live. What's good? Yo. 945, you live, man. Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. What you got?
So Scott, my biggest concern, I feel like everybody focused on the wrong thing. The defense was awesome last year. I'm still not confident in that offensive line, and I'm worried about protecting my quarterback. This is going to be a big season. This is going to be a big season for him because we got cooks, we got pieces. I just don't feel like the offensive line is not being priority. I feel like you got Tyron Smith. Okay, we know it. We know Tyron. We know what he can do, but we also know he's injury prone. I'm not confident in going into the season, especially making a deep playoff run with my offensive line. I'm good with my defense. The defense was good last year. I wasn't worried last year, and we done added Gilmore. Cool, I love it. But the offensive line, what have we done to improve our offensive line this offseason?
Yeah, we'll talk about that once we do state of the union offensive line, good brother. But fair enough to have concerns up front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you. You know, I'm always listening. I support you. I appreciate everything you do. And when you talk offensive line, I will be tuning in.
Definitely, yeah. Look, that's one of the most. Look, it's one of the most controversial spots. So I definitely want to make sure we give it its real due in regards to the state of the union. So I got you, man.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Salute.
All right.
Now, normally, I can call and talk about whatever y'all want. I totally get that. But if we could stay on topic a little bit, that's best for the show. You know, I don't want to. We'll talk about offense line. I 100% got you 945. I promise you. But that I've done this before where we have a specific topic and it takes us left when we discuss something else. And given the state of the situation we're at now in the offseason, we definitely got to make sure that we roll this thing out correctly because we don't want to give away the whole entire offensive line show when we're speaking about defensive line. But I got you, man. I promise you. 912, what it do?
Yo, what's up, Scott?
What's goody?
Not much. You talking about the edge today, and
yes, sir.
Specifically, I heard you talking about Fehoko.
Yep.
So I think he'll get like maybe 10% of snaps, or I feel like he should get 10% of snaps. I'm not saying like we owe that to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know how many snaps that would equate to, but yeah, I mean, hey.
But as the previous caller was talking about, talking about injuries and everything, injuries happen. They always happen. And with all the depth that we have at, on defensive line, I mean, it's not crazy to think, he's going to get snaps. I mean, because. I mean, you just look at it. Guys are going to get injured, and the depth we have at defensive end and defensive line, somebody's going to get hurt. That's just the honest part of it.
Yeah, and you're right. Injuries happen, and I will usually bring up injuries with a specific unit or player if there's a history of it that keeps them out, right? Look, maybe we knock on wood. Last year, we got super lucky, man. Nobody really missed time like that. Like, everybody in that defensive end room played consecutively. But just a year removed to that, Demarcus Lawrence broke his foot in week 2, right? Going into week 2, and he was out for a while, and that kind of birthed us a little bit more Doran Armstrong and obviously Micah Parsons, the MPP. So, something may happen that pushes him up. Yeah.
There's one person on that defense that does not need to get injured, and we all know who that is.
MPP? Micah Parsons?
I'm knocking on wood right now, literally, bro.
Yeah.
But anyway, this defense is nasty. I mean, it's got depth. I wouldn't worry, too much about injuries because all that does is, create an open spot for another hungry player, to come in and prove themselves,
That is fair.
And besides, if you look at the defense, our defense, man, they're like a family, bro. They just feed off of each other. Everybody does something. They feed off of it,
that's fair to talk about the depth of the defense. I think the defense can sustain specific injuries to certain parts of the team, possibly unlike last year. I mean, we saw what happened at the cornerback spot. And again, knock on wood, we never want to see it. Yeah. But if I had to pick which unit could sustain an injury, I think it's the defense, because they're deep at every level except linebacker. And even at linebacker, I don't think the talent deficiency is the gap is so large, right? That if you lose one of your top linebackers, you're going to go into the tank, especially with this interior. Yeah. This interior is beefed up now, so it's going to help those backup guys.
Yeah. Let's say I'm, on the bench, and somebody gets hurt, and I come in the game. I'm seeing all these guys make plays. I haven't seen the field much. It's going to incentivize me coming in and trying to make a name for myself. But them guys, like the offense, I just want to see the offense gel like that because we see it with the defense. And I just believe, with us adding, these guys, you got Brandon Cooks on the offensive side. They've already talked about, how he's already impacting the team.
Yeah.
And, it's not crazy to think. I'm sure Stephon Gilmore is doing the same thing. And then you got all these rookies come in, and they're trying to make, trying to find a spot.
I think it's gonna be difficult for the rookies, bro. I just do, and that's great. You want it to be difficult,
but we got some fire. We got some fire rookies now, though. You know what I'm saying? Which it seems like every year. But I mean, that's what Will McClay does. That's what Stephen Jones does. But Fehoko, like I've looked at his film, he's got a wicked, nasty spin move. He's got a quick first step. He don't give up on plays. I've seen plays. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes, I probably would have gave up on because I feel like I'm out to play. You know what I mean? But I've seen him come from all the way across the field and make a play. So
he's
gonna see the field. Now that's not gonna be. It might not be nothing significant, unless some injuries do happen. But I figure, maybe 10% of play. It just depends on who's there, who's available. What percentage of health everybody's in, and what kind of impact he makes, on these coaches and these players and all when they throw on these pads July 31st, which I can't wait for. We got over a whole month.
I'm trying to get down there for pad week. I'm trying to talk Voch to get us down there for pad week. He want to go early. I want to go when pads come on. That's where I want to go.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely gonna be paying attention to y'all. And everybody else in the Cowboy Nation, trying to get as much info as I can because, like I said before when I called in, man, we looking at this is for sure a Super Bowl caliber defense.
I think it's a Super Bowl caliber team.
But especially the defense. Like I told you when I called in before, we talking about early 2000 Bucks. I'm putting them in that category. Like we got to see the numbers. I'm sure they're going to be first in scoring defense. I want to see them first in every category. I mean, I know that's not going to happen.
Look,
but it's not facetious to say it's possible.
If they can be elite at stopping the run, and what I mean by that, I don't mean because they've pulled people out of it because they're scoring a bunch of points, but they are physically making people not run the ball, then you might be on to something. That's really the last bit to me. If they could be an elite run-stopping team, they got it elsewhere. They got the pass rush. They got the safeties. They got the corners. They got the defensive coordinator. But that's the last kind of infinity stone, stopping the run, and boy, it could be crazy.
Hey, and Mazi got it on his fist. That's why I loved it when we drafted him. I was like, great, we got Osar, and we got Mazi now, and just push that pocket in. Because if you can push that center back into that quarterback space, what's he going to do? He's going to have to slide to the left, or he's going to slide to the right. He's going to have to deal with Demarcus Lawrence or Micah Parsons.
Don't leave out Hankins. Hankins is so important to this situation too, bro.
I know. I like Hank, but Osar is my guy. Osar, I feel like
the
Osar gonna have a big jump this year.
Osar the 3-tech. But when you're talking about what Mazi can do, Mazi and Hankins, I think have to be lumped into one because you need a couple of these boys, especially if one goes down. You need a couple of them, and I think Mazi and Hankins together could be
that's
and close.
That's just the thing, Scott. You got so many guys on this defense, and you're gonna leave somebody out.
I ain't leaving that big
so many guys. I get you.
My guy. But, all right, man. Let me keep it moving for the rest of the show, good brother. Appreciate the call.
Yes, sir, man. Take it easy. Have a good day.
You too. Salute. Yeah, I mean, the room is deep. I mean, when you look at the defensive end room, and this is no knock on Fehoko. It's just there are only so many snaps to go around. And there's just nobody right now I'm taking snaps away from for him. Right now, June 20th, 2023, we can like all these young guys as much as we want. In reality, you're not taking away nobody's snaps for Fehoko as we speak. Now, injuries come up, guys get dinged up or what have you. Now things can change a little bit. But Banogu, Fehoko kind of round out the end of the edge roster. We talked about Sam Williams last week, And we talked about how he has it all physically, right? Like Sam Williams is gifted from a physical standpoint. I mean, you're surprised sometimes when you realize he's 6'4", 265, something like that. Just a strong dude, naturally strong, has that speed, that quickness, that kind of crazy hit me, type of mentality. Sam Williams got it physically. It's just about the mental aspect, right? And we heard from Coach AD last week about him taking the initiative, taking that step on his own to become great or to at least get better. And if you missed it, this is Coach AD talking about Sam Williams taking that next step in his preparation.
He's learned how to develop himself. And that's not like saying, oh, we don't develop him. I think the biggest jump for Sam is like he's becoming a true professional. Like I see the work that he puts in, the structure that he's got on his off fields. And now, like, it comes in and you see his flexibility's changed, his coordination's changed, like, his stance is better. Like, the things he thought he had to work on, he's gone away, worked on them, and now you can improve on them. I'm excited for him.
My bad, Coach. My apologies, speaking over you like that. Yes, Brother L. Man, Brother L. Yeah, man, executive producer. Yeah, man, that's my brother and me reference. I was going to tweet about that the other day, like, one of the crimes in TV history is cancellation of my brother and me. But nonetheless, Sam Williams got that crazy in him. And now he's putting, well, hopefully, right? He's putting it together from a mental standpoint. And if he can do that, then he can take that next step. And he's obviously everyone's breakout player, right? He's a guy that people believe can get up to 8 or 10 sacks. I mean, I don't think it's crazy to think he gets close to double-digit sacks, given his pressure percentage last year as a rookie, his obvious talent, and you just saw him get better as the weeks went on. You just saw the nuances of the game start to come to him. We got to remember, fairly newish to football. Basketball player in high school for the most part, started to play late, went to JUCO, and then went to Ole Miss for that season. So, Sam Williams is still learning. And then he went to Ole Miss and he was playing kind of that 4-eye interior type spot. Now he's getting a chance to just pin his ears back and go. With a Micah Parsons and D-Law now and Mazi Smith and Hankins on the interior. Yeah. Things are looking up for one Sam Williams as long as Sam can continue to get better from a mental standpoint. He'll be fine. I have no worries about one Sam Slam. Thank you, ma'am. Williams. But for some odd reason, y'all don't like Demarcus Lawrence. I don't get it. Demarcus Lawrence rounds out the last of the kind of true edge guys on this roster. He's a guy people want to push off this damn team. He's one of the guys. The other guy we're going to talk about here in a second. He's one of the guys people kind of want to push down. And I just, for the life of me, can't understand it. Especially when you factor in this Dan Quinn 4-3 under. It's like a quasi 4-3 under defense. He plays such an integral part in it. But he's not a 12-sack guy. People, okay, that's fine. Well, you're missing out on a damn good player, man. Not only do a lot of Cowboys fans think he's a damn good player, but the league obviously does as well. He was double teamed at a top 10 rate per Next Gen and ESPN analytics. So he's still getting that respect from the opposing offenses. And this is with a Micah Parsons who wasn't that far ahead of him, honestly, kind of crazy. I thought Micah would have been miles and miles ahead, but Micah and Micah actually was, I think, number 1 when it came to pass rush run weight in that graphic. But Micah and Demarcus Lawrence both ranked, I believe, in the top 10 or top half for sure of double teams. And then when you look at his, stable metrics over the last 3 seasons, I didn't want to go his whole career because a lot of people will say, oh, well, you're counting the big sack years. Take out the big sack years. Let's just go off the last 3 seasons. One, he had injury concerns in 2021, came back and played fantastic. But in 2020, 2021, 2022, he ranks in the 77th percentile or above in just about everything you can think of as a strong side guy. And when we're talking about run defense, it's not even, he's arguably the best run defending strong side defense and in the National Football League. But he still is a very dangerous pass rusher. He's just not a guy that's going to get you 15 sacks anymore. He's actually going to be a guy that's helping other guys. He's not a cleanup guy. He's a create cleanup guy. For instance, he only ranks 13th in the whole cleanup / pursuit pressures statistic. But when it comes to sacks created, Demarcus Lawrence is right up there with the best. He's technically tied for 9th, but he's in the top half of the league again in sacks created. And this was last year in 2022. Micah had 11 sacks created, where Demarcus Lawrence had 9.5. So not only is he an elite run defender, but he's also helping set up other guys while taking on double teams and still performing in a snap in, snap out basis. Shout out to Bob Stern, who came up with the splash play statistic, right? And over the last 8 years, Demarcus Lawrence has pretty much owned this. And the splash play is a mix of so many different things, from tackles for loss, passes batted down, sacks, pressures, third down stop. I mean, there's so many things he equates in this that, the normal stats won't. And besides 2021, Demarcus Lawrence has pretty much owned the splash plays the last 6 seasons. And dating all the way back to 2015, only Irving and Parsons beat him out in that category. So I get that he's not a guy that's going to get you double digit to 12, 15 sacks a game, but he does so many other things at a high level. And the biggest thing, obviously, that he does at a high level is he's elite with the run. I mean, we know he's an elite run defender. And I don't get how we can look at a guy that's elite in something like that on a team that we complain about stopping the run, and we're like, yeah, we gotta cut him, or we gotta cut down on his snaps. No way, Jose. Not happening. He can set the edge, turning plays back inside. He can backdoor reach block, penetrate, and make plays from behind. Fantastic as a backside chase defender. Knows how to attack the pursuit angles. I mean, whatever it is you want, if you want to put on a teach tape for a strong side defensive end, it's Demarcus Lawrence, man. And I get it, right? Like, I get that D-Law is not the athlete he once was. He never really came into the league as a big athlete in general. He was more of a nuanced technique guy. That's always been who he was. And I thought last year, Demarcus Lawrence was still one of your most productive guys. It might have not shown in the sack department, but played 17 games. By the way, he gets dinged for being a hurt guy. Broke his foot in 2021, but prior to that, and including 2022, the dude's played in 16 or 17 games in like 5 out of the last 6 seasons, something like that. So, even getting up there in age, he's a guy that you can count on week in and week out. And he played almost 700 snaps last year, got you 6 sacks, got you 3 forced fumbles, which led the team, 44 stops, which also led the defensive line, 9 tackles for loss, and 13 quarterback hits. And his 43 solo tackles led all defensive linemen. So Demarcus Lawrence gets a strange, bad rep on this team, but he is still one of your best defenders on this team. And that's just not a guy I'm willing to sit down and cut his snaps. He's already playing like 70%. No guy on this roster, in this front is going to play 90% except Micah Parsons. Micah going to play about 80-something, 90%, depending on how many linebacker snaps he gets. Dan Quinn likes to rotate these guys. D-Law definitely should be a guy that plays the most snaps on the D-line. And then everybody else kind of rotates in and out. But I'm not getting rid of D-Law. I'm not cutting down his snaps. He's one of the leaders on his defense, and he just goes out there game in, game out, plays with a high motor, and produces for you, man. I mean, he was so clutch for you last season on a number of occasions. I could think of the Texans game. I could think of the Lions game on the goal line, and also just helping create, right? So give me a Demarcus Lawrence on my team all the time, especially, again, when you're playing kind of this quasi 4-3 under. You need a guy, a strong side guy that can two-gap and defend the run. You do need that, especially if you want to be a run-stopping team. And we could complain about the run defense over the years, but it wasn't that guy. Wasn't that guy that's the problem. No, sir. No, sir. Before we get to the Leos, let's jump back into the line and get to D Schiff on the horn. What's good, D Schiff?
Hey, what's good, bro? I guess the state of the union for me with the ends is some of the young guys it's their year to kind of grow up, and we need another like 10-sack guy to emerge. A lot of talk on Micah and Lawrence, but like I guess the biggest criticism for Lawrence and where it drew from was the fact that he was your only 10-sack guy, and you're just coming off of Ware, who was consistently getting 15+ sacks, right? So you might have still had that expectation, but the Cowboys never did a good enough job of putting other 10-sack guys around him, So you never got to.
He gave you that when he was counted on to be that guy, right? Like he gave you 14 sacks. He gave you 10, I think 8.5 in like those consecutive seasons.
He did that on like the last year of his rookie year contract, his biggest years, and like the franchise year, right?
Hey, he gave it to you is what I'm saying. Like he gave you that.
Yeah, he definitely did.
But
and
then
they
they gave him Robert Quinn. I thought he helped Robert Quinn get like 14 sacks. He might have got like 12, but Quinn kind of snapped out and came back to life when he came at Dallas. But just because his sack total went down, his play never diminished, in my opinion. I just think people started to view him differently.
Because he does elite things.
Yeah.
It's just more on the running side, and that's the thing. Like you need another guy to step up and start doing a multitude of elite things versus just D-Law and Micah. And because if one of those, like y'all were talking about, somebody has to sit down for a couple games, that line looks a little different.
Yeah, it's deep.
Especially if you plan on having Micah to do other things at linebacker, and whatever else they're gonna have him do, right? I don't think you can really afford for one of these guys just to kind of be those guys who benefit off of Micah and off of D-Law and get these 6-7 sacks, but they got to be a guy who can free up D-Law once in a while.
That's Micah.
So
that's Mazi. That's guys like those guys can help him as well, I think.
Yeah, no, I think we have a lot of guys who are real helpful, but I'm just asking for one of those guys to step up and be, on the market, at least D-Law's level. Can't ask you to be like on Micah level, like top 5 NFL player type, but if you can at least, some of these other teams have like what's the Josh Sweat for the Eagles. Somebody else who can.
Yeah, I think we're so deep, man. It'd be nice if you had like multiple double-digit sack guys, but if you also got
at least one more.
But if you also got like 5 guys that's giving you 7+ sacks, that's kind of better, honestly. Like I'd rather take a team full of 5 guys that gets me 7, 8+ sacks than one guy that gets me 13, the other gets me 10, and everybody else is giving me like 2 or 3. You know what I'm saying? If I can just roll out so many of these pass rushers and all of them are threats, and I think that's the case. When I look at this unit, I think they can technically roll out, Sam, Demarcus, obviously Micah, Doran to Armstrong, Fowler. I think all those guys are capable of getting 7+ sacks.
Yeah, I think if Sam could just get 10+ on, 10+ sacks, and then also play the run, like you see him just take another step in his run defense. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good part of his game as well, right?
Yeah, I think Sam Williams, for me, whenever they decide to move on from Tank, I would love to see them kind of push him into the left defensive end role if Micah's going to go full-time edge, or if he's still going to kind of play that Leo role where he's down there. I would like to see those 2 guys kind of be the future of the pass rush, and they continue to build around those 2 guys, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, good stuff, Scott. I appreciate everything you do, bro.
Salute, Chef.
You, bro.
Thanks, man. Saw my guy Mel in the building. He asked, would I take out D-Law for Sam on pass rushing downs? Yeah, sometimes. I mean, these guys are going to rotate. You're going to go. I went back and watched some film. You saw so many different lineups. It was crazy. You're going to see D-Law, Sam on the same field at the same time with Micah. You're going to see Micah, D-Law with Armstrong inside or D-Law inside. You're going to see Armstrong, Sam, Micah, Fowler. Like you're going to see Osa, probably Mazi, Sam, Micah. Like it's going to be so many different variations they can do that. Yeah, you'll definitely see D-Law come off the field at times, especially if he needs a blow or he's hurt or he's just not having a good game or whatever. But he's not a guy I'm actively seeking out like, all right, pass rush time, come off the field, right? Like, nah, it's game dependent. Does D-Law have a step on this defender? Does he know something from the film room that hey, I got this guy. Let me switch side. Like, for instance, the Rams game. If you guys didn't see these sounds of the sideline. And this is why, he's so underrated, man. I wish I should have pulled that up, by the way. D-Law understood how they were defending Micah Parsons and himself. And D-Law was beating this guy, right? But the way things were happening on the other side, Matt Stafford was just getting the ball out or stepping up or what have you. He went over to Micah and said, hey, do this. Bing, 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 bing. Right? And I guarantee you, blah, blah, blah. So they get in the game. Micah does it. D-Law beats his guy, sets it up, boom, sack. It's things like that don't go on the stat sheet. Him being around, being that veteran, being the sack leader of this team, at that one point in time, being the guy they look to get off. He doesn't have to be that anymore. He just has to be a guy that does his job at a high level, and I think he does that at a high level. And as long as everybody else is continuing to play well, Micah is being the MPP, right? He's got a spot on this team for me. 100%. But yeah, I think Mel, you do rotate these guys. Like at the end of the day, he is like 31 now. I don't want D-Law playing 89, 85, 90% of the snaps. I will continue to stick around at 70% and rotate these guys. Keep them all as fresh as possible. Except maybe Mike. I might play Mike at like 99. I don't even want to take him off the field, to be honest, but that's just me. All right, let's get to what we're going to label the Leo side of things. And again, this was kind of derived from our lads. They kind of listed the Leo position in the DN. I'm like, you know what? That makes sense because that's how Dan Quinn kind of deploys these guys, right? And I struggle with putting Micah in here, but I wanted to because he does play the Leo and obviously played a bunch of defensive end. But hearing Coach talk about him being a pass rushing linebacker, that is the definition of the Leo. Now, you might be wondering why the hell was Armstrong up here? And that's fair. And again, I struggle with putting him on DE or the Leo, but he kind of was doing a combination of things. They actually move him around a little bit as well. So let's just talk about Armstrong in general before we talk about the actual definition of what the Leo is. But just Armstrong in general. Another controversial figure. Somebody that became kind of polarizing this offseason where a part of Cowboys Nation, they want to trade him. I don't think the Cowboys need to do that. But you can spin it this way, right? You can say, due to his production and cost, those are positive reasons why he keeps popping up in trade discussions from Cowboys Nation. Again, due to his production and cost, positive reasons. He's technically the fifth highest paid player, I think, on the defense or in general. Is strange, but he is pretty highly paid, maybe top 7 on the team, but it's not some astronomical number, right? So his contract is movable, but his production allows him to be kind of talked in this manner because he had 6 sacks in 2021, followed it up with 8.5, had the forced fumble against the Rams, got to the quarterback 16 times from a hit standpoint, 10 tackles for loss, and it was a career year for DA. Tackles for loss, QB hits, sacks, and one of the more underrated aspects of DA is his ability to play special teams. Now, he ain't going to get you a whole bunch of special team tackles, but he plays a lot of special team snaps. He played 97 this past season, 84 the following season or the previous season. And in both those years, he had huge punt blocks, that resulted in points for the Cowboys. So, he does have that as well. I am not opposed to a guy like Sam Williams chewing into Doran Armstrong snaps, but I would be one opposed to trading Doran Armstrong unless you are getting some unbelievable return, right? Because again, it goes back to talking about what we said earlier. You're going to have to juggle the future with winning now. And I look at this team as a team that can win now. And I want all the talent. I want all the depth. I want all the players. So unless I'm trading one of these depth guys for an amazing haul, then I don't really want to pick up that. I don't care. I don't want to listen to you. Because I'm trying to win a Super Bowl, and it's a 17 and you hope a 20-21 game season, and you're going to need every last player. So I am not for the trade Doran Armstrong situation, but I am not opposed to a Sam Williams kind of getting more tick on behalf of DA, because I do think, granted, he's like 26, he's not that old, 27, whatever it is. I do think from a talent standpoint, he's capped out. And I think we don't want him to become a guy that's stopping Sam from reaching his potential physically out there on the team. And if you look at from a per snap basis, Sam Williams was probably better than Doran Armstrong. He just didn't play as many snaps as Doran Armstrong. So I'm for keeping him, not for trading him, but I wouldn't mind seeing Sam Williams play a little bit more and on his behalf is what I'm getting at. TJ thinks, DA for a third round pick. I'm guessing you mean third round pick at the deadline. Well, then things change once you get to the deadline. If DA is not performing, or he's kind of just like average, and the team is looking for, then things may change a little bit. But as we speak right now, I'm keeping him. Am I yelling too? Is it messing up, Bruiser? Did I spike a little bit on my audio? My bad, man. Is my audio too loud? Do I need to turn this down? Cowboys Nation. Bruiser said I'm spiking a little bit here. Thumb up, thumb down. If I'm too loud, too low. I'll keep monitoring the audio. Y'all let me know. Danny says keep him. Iceberg says nah, not at the deadline. It would have to be now. Iceberg Q, by the way. Audio's fine. All right, maybe my guy just got to fix his audio then. Appreciate you. Why not at the who said that? Not at the deadline. Iceberg Q says not at the deadline, would have to be now. I do think that, Matt. I do think context has to come in though with that Iceberg Q. Because if he's balling, you're not trading him at the deadline. But if he's a hindrance, if he's hurting you or what have you, are you really gonna get a third round pick though? So you might be right. Trade him now. The height of his appeal might be at this very second, but I want all the depth, so I ain't really trying to get rid of him. That's just me. I'm good. Appreciate y'all. Let's talk about another Leo on this team, and that's Dante Fowler, who had a resurgence, a career resurgence on this team. Now, he didn't play a lot, which is crazy. Think about this for a second. He played the least amount of snaps in his entire career, but it was his best season for the most part since 2019, where he played a ton of snaps for the Super Bowl Rams. Gave you 6 sacks, a couple forced fumbles, 9 quarterback hits, 7 tackles for loss. Again, most sacks, QB hits, and tackles for loss since 2019. On the least amount of snaps in his career. Again, on a per snap basis, from a pass rush standpoint, Dante Fowler was still one of your best guys. I think he is a criminally underrated pass rusher on this team. Often a guy, most fans, when it's talking about cutting a player, this is the guy they talk about. I get it, right? He's a veteran. He's not a starter. He's not going to play a ton of special teams. Not a run guy. Contract is not, pricey. Easy guy to get rid of. But again, I'm trying to win a Super Bowl. And from a pass rush standpoint, Dante Fowler still has it. You saw it in the film. You saw it with the quickness, the first step, the hand usage. Like, he still has that bag to be a very productive pass rusher. I said this the other day. In fact, when it comes to getting after the passer, I mean, you got Micah. I think from a pure pass rush standpoint, Dante is one of your best. That's all I'm going to say about that. I think he's one of your best guys. He won't play 600 snaps in the season, though, because he's not going to be a guy you want to play against the run. Early on in the season, if you go look at some of these teams like Washington that was running against us, I think Tampa in that game. But early on, you saw them kind of attack Dante Fowler, kind of attack those edges when he was out there. But boy, when they had to pass, he was like that. So I'm not really looking to get rid of him either. Now, again, if guys come in, if guys like a Fehoko or Tyrus Wheat and they just go stupid, I mean, I guess you can have that conversation, but 17 to 21 game season, I'm not trying to get rid of no Dante Fowler right now. Why? It's not like the dude was a terrible or bad. Not even, don't use the word terrible. It's not like the guy wasn't productive last year, because he was productive. He was productive. I will continue to use him at this rate. Just a designated pass rusher. Kind of a chess piece guy as well. If you go look at his film with the Rams, where they used more of a 3-4 look and had Dante standing up, you saw his versatility, being able to kind of drop back, go from left to right, move around the defense. And Dan Quinn used him in that manner. That's why I think he's labeled as a Leo. Now, he ain't do Micah Parsons things, but you could stand him up. You could put his hand in the ground. You could put him on the left side, right side. Sometimes when they did the, we call it, I love this now. It's forever going to be called Endgame. I'm never calling it the NASCAR package again. But for those who don't know what Endgame is, Vach, shout out to Vach, created the Endgame thing off of, MCU. And that's what it's always going to be. But when the Cowboys run Endgame, all defensive ends out there, you'll see Dante Fowler out there. So I think he's a quality, versatile pass rusher that I'm keeping on this damn team. That's it. Like, I'm not getting rid of him. I get rid of no D8. If we left it up to y'all, D-Law, not y'all, but you know what I'm talking about. Demarcus Lawrence, Doran Armstrong, and Dante Fowler would not be on this team. Think about it for a second. If they weren't on this team, I'll ask you this question. Would you consider this a deep defensive end room? Because there are people that want all those dudes gone. No, you wouldn't. They help make this room what it is. Speaking of what it is, what it do, Marco?
What's up, Steve? How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing fantastic on this beautiful Tuesday. What's up with you?
Man, bless, man. By the Most High. Hey, I was calling to tell you still. I wanted to call you about 3-4 days, but I keep on calling in, and it was the conference been unlocked. And I know this off the subject, 'cause I've been listening to the whole show about the defense. But don't you think we'll be better? I'm glad we got back to having a fullback, too. Because I thought when Keith Smith was here, that's when Zeke was at the top of his game.
I mean,
and I know it's way off the subject.
Yeah, I'll touch on it for a quick second. It's interesting correlation, right? I think that was when Linehan was here, but I am
yes, sir.
I'm excited about it because I think Mike McCarthy is going to use a guy like Hunter Lipke like a Kyle Juszczyk. That's what makes me excited. If it was just traditional fullback stuff, I would kind of scoff at it. But I think Hunter Lipke can be versatile. That's why I'm excited about it.
I got a question then, though. I think the NFL do you think the NFL is getting away from having a run game because of Mahomes? Because of Mahomes and maybe Allen a little bit. But I think Mahomes has kind of changed the NFL a little bit by thinking that we can pass every play 60, 70 times a game.
Nah, I think Mahomes is an alien. But the league has already been trending away from the run game. Now, interesting statistic, though. I think last year it started to go back a little bit because of how teams are deploying, because the league is a passing league now. So teams are doing more too high stuff, shell coverage, and they're creating light boxes. Yeah. So now the way to counter that is to run the ball. So you saw the run game kind of come back a little bit last year from a, I believe, yards per carry standpoint. But ironically, you didn't see like top 10 rushers just littered throughout the Super Bowl or playoffs. It was interesting.
Yeah, kind of strange, man. But I appreciate you still, man. I just wanted to tap in with you on that fullback thing. I'm glad because I was wanting us to get Keith Smith back when Zeke was here. Maybe somebody else, a lead back that can, take one of those defenders out of. Yeah, but I appreciate you still, man. I'm gonna listen to the rest of the show, brother. Be blessed.
Yes, sir. Salute, Marco.
My dog, bro.
Yeah, I used to hear that a lot. Bringing back Keith Smith. I mean, I don't think it would have hurt you. But Keith Smith wasn't one of those versatile guys. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna fake it to y'all. I'm on the side of I don't really care for the fullback unless that fullback can be versatile like a Kyle Juszczyk. Because this league is just different than what it was 10 years ago. Just 10 years ago. It's completely different. But I mean, Keith was a good fullback / linebacker. I mean, he was back and forth. I remember that situation. For years, he was linebacker to fullback. And Scott Linehan deployed that. And I thought Boy Wonder was going to do some of those versatile type things when they signed Jameez Olawale. And that didn't work out. So that's where I'm at with it. You got to be Hunter Lipke. I'm sorry. Hunter Lipke. Yeah, he's kind of versatile guy. You got to be Kyle Juszczyk to me. If not, I can do without it. Just give me a Sean McEwen. Yeah. And then finally, when you're talking about Leos, when you're talking about pass rushers, I think in the league, Craig, top flight of the league, you talking about Micah Parsons. And I do put him in that Leo category because that's really what he does. Now, again, he was definitely hand in the dirt guy a lot, defense and opposite of a Demarcus Lawrence or a Doran Armstrong for the most part. And I know Dan Quinn said he's pass rushing linebacker, hence Leo, right? But he's going to be playing on that edge a lot. I know he will. It may not be 80-20, maybe it'll be 70-30, but you're going to see him out there because he's just really good out there and they value him out there. And I think with guys like Damone Clark, they draft Overshown. You hear about Jabril Cox taking the next step. If those guys take the next step, then I'm more than comfortable doing the 70-30. If they don't, and there is a problem on that second level, that's where I get annoyed that, I would like to see Micah do a little bit more in that second level. But regardless, I don't give a damn where they put this man. He's just like that. He's just like that, man. And you'll see him everywhere. You'll see him left side, right side, middle, second level, Sam. You'll see him play some of the Leo. Get that hump move. Just my defensive player of the year. It's going to happen. He's going to get one. And ironically, he talked about what they're going to do with him this year, and he joked and said, I'm going to be playing 8 different positions. I mean, clearly that's hyperbole, but I 100% believe Micah going to be everywhere. Because this season, I think Dan Quinn finally has every piece at his disposal to utilize Micah Parsons as the ultimate chess piece. Not trying to figure it out chess piece in year one. Not, well, we're going to move him to defense and most, but I got me interior guys. LVE is my green dot, it probably is, but LVE is my middle linebacker that gets everything situated, my veteran presence. Damone Clark is my steady, young, fast, athletic will. I've got a plethora of edge guys that I can throw out there with the Demarcus Lawrence and DA and Dante. And if you want to do some 5-tech things, Chauncey and etc. And then I got the MPP, the Micah Parsons problem. Soon as they come out of that huddle, the first thing I'm looking for is we're 11. And that's what makes him special. And that's what Micah Parsons was frustrated about last year, is he wasn't able to do what he believed makes him special. And that's be a versatile player. And I'm always going to be of the ilk of, I don't want him at one specific spot. And Dan Quinn talked about it. If I keep him at one spot, it's easier to take him out the game. And you kind of saw that a little bit, you know? So they could play, shout out to Vach, find the scrub with him. They can play, hey, this guard can't deal with Micah. We're going to just keep blitzing him from the middle. They can play, we're going to play games up. They can do whatever they want now because I do think they are equipped to not have to pick and choose where he's going to be. Now, until that time comes where he has to be full-time somewhere, maybe he just becomes an anomaly of a defender, which I believe he has that ability, where he doesn't have a defined position. Then maybe you discuss that. But at this moment in time, I think it's best for the Cowboys to utilize Micah as a chess piece, allow him to move around that defense, make the defenders, the offensive lineman, the quarterback, locate Micah, and then go off of that. And I guarantee you'll continue to see guys like D-Law and Doran and Fowler and Mazi, whoever it is, benefit from that. Micah Parsons, I believe, was top 5 last year in sacks created. Let me go find. I pulled it up. There it is. Yep, top 5. Technically number 9 they have there, but when it comes to the actual number here, Hassan Reddick created 18.5, which is nuts, and then Micah created 11. So, you know, he's a guy that's going to help everyone out there. Point blank, period. So Micah Parsons is the Leo of all Leos in the National Football League. Let's get Toxic Tom on the horn. What's good, my man?
Good morning, Sky. First off, hope you had a good time off. I know you work your tail off, so I'm glad to see that you and Vach got that well-deserved day off. Just wanted to get that out there, too.
Appreciate it.
Second off, I grew up in relatively the same area as you, Sky, and one thing I was taught when I was a kid, never forget where you came from. I'm never going to forget the Jeremy Mincy, George Selvey, Ben Gardner, Ken Boatwright, Jack Crawford, LeVar Edwards, all of these Jags that we were playing around with, and now looking at this defensive end room,
crazy.
Man, move over Boston Scientific. Now that is medicine right there.
Jeremy Mincy.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Like the years of just guys that could pass off as Costco workers back there. And now we got dudes. And I love what Vach keeps saying. When it comes time and you're lining up against playoff teams, get me dudes.
Yep.
And the fact that you have Dante Fowler Jr. and Doran Armstrong, who, if you look at their production, there are NFL teams that don't even have that from their starting defensive ends, let alone from our 2 backups. Man, I love the idea of having an embarrassment of riches, especially in a premium position, because a lot of fans I notice get really caught up in sacks when you're bringing up is what's their pass rusher rate, what's their win rate, what's their how much pressure do they generate, what's their turnovers. I mean, Demarcus Lawrence is a forced fumble machine. And then on top of that, you get 2 ball hawk corners and depth in the safety room, which is a defense that led the NFL in turnovers 2 times in a row, the first time since, the 1970s?
Yep, Steelers.
I am in if people are calling to trade for your guys, it's because they're good players. I don't want anyone having as many of these good players. I want Dan Quinn to have enough clips to keep shooting when he can reload with ease and just keep sending guys out there. I am not interested, because a 3rd-round pick could easily be another Jalen Tolbert, or hopefully it could be someone else. But right now, I'm with you, Sky. I want to win. I want to win so damn badly that I'm willing to say F them picks, get me as many dudes right now so I can continue to rest the passer. I don't want any quarterback in the NFC East to have an easy day against this defense, even if there is an injury.
Facts.
This unit is probably one of the deepest units in the entire NFL, and it got better. So I wanted to say, completely positive, this is all in, Tom, because all in on Dan Quinn and what Dan Quinn is trying to do, and let Dan Quinn get what he needs to go physically destroy every single offense that he plays. Y'all have a good day, and bring back Ryan Nall.
We got all in time today, baby. Yes, sir. I'm with you, man. I finally got my guy Vosh to come around, the dudes. Man, trade these draft picks, man. Hey, come on, man. Let go of these draft picks a little bit. You need dudes, man. Like when it's time to get into them playoffs and you playing against some of these top guys, we should absolutely understand this. Going up against the team we went up against and we ran out of dudes on the offense side of the ball. You need dudes, man. And the Cowboys went out, traded a couple picks for 2 dudes on both sides, retained a couple guys, and a guy like Dante Fowler when you're talking about the defensive end room. And they got a lot of talent. And boy, when he was running off those names, and look, salute to Tyrone Crawford and Jack Crawford and the Golden Cock. Y'all don't remember him? Nick Hayden. Who else do we have? The Bishops, the Edwards, it was Jeremy Menzies. Man, we went up to, and I don't care if you had one leg, we went up to Lambeau Field. Probably, and you can argue with your mama, the best shot we had at going to the Super Bowl, I think, that year. Because we had already beat Seattle. I felt good about playing it. Went up to Lambeau Field. And our leading pass rusher that day was Jeremy Menzies. Like 6 sacks. And I know sacks ain't the whole thing. But he wasn't like a high pressure guy either. It was a jag. Quite literally was a jag. But it was just a guy. And we like, yo, go get this bad man. Not the case no more, man. And it's only going to get better for this defense. Costco workers is crazy. See, a lot of people don't know about the Golden Cock. That's not my name. Ask Rod Marinelli why he called him that. I don't, it's like what my man said. I ain't calling another man delicious. Did they really go into that room and be like, Golden Cock, come on up? I don't know Rod Marinelli, man. He was a strange dude. He walked with that neck sticking out. I wouldn't want to get on his bad side though. Hey, coach. Hey, look, man. You could call me what you want to call me, but don't call me that out. Don't do that. Don't do that. The Golden Cock. I'm crazy, man. What's good, Big Gid? Yeah, you think I'm lying? Go Google it, Lost. Go Google Rod Marinelli naming up. It was so bad with the unit that we had during that time. Like he called them the orphans. Like Rod Marinelli prided himself on taking a bunch of nobodies. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna get this job done. The league turned into a passing league, but I don't need a bunch of good pass rushers. Just give me a bunch of dudes. And these fools went along with it. Thank God for a guy like Dan Quinn that said, wait. Number one, the hell is y'all ignoring the interior for? We're going to fix that. Number 2, safety matters. And number 3, I want all the good players. I want them all. Stop playing with me. Appreciate that. Good morning, Los. What you got for us, man?
Good morning, Sky, man. I hope you're having a great morning. And happy late Father's Day to you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Man, you do amazing work and you keep on thriving, man. Hopefully one day you'll be running those checks from Jerry. But hey, just real quick, man. I just want to say one quick point is one thing about this pass rush that I'm so ecstatic about. One piece that we added, it has to be Mazi, and that's only if he can live up to the potential where we want him to be, because. One thing about pass rushing is basically getting off your blocks, basically getting to the second level. And if Mazi can just, get those 2 basically interior guards, or basically, forcing them to basically, shit, we have to basically put 2 people on this guy, right?
Yeah.
Man, you're gonna make some chaos up front for any quarterback you face.
Well,
and like you go ahead.
Even more than just occupying bodies, right, is actually pushing the pocket. That's something that the Cowboys, and I talked about this at the top of the show, they didn't consistently get from their interior, in my opinion. They didn't get consistent help at cornerback 2, and they didn't get consistent interior pressure. You had a guy like Osa who was doing this thing when he could, but I'm talking about a pocket pusher, where when D-Law or Dorrance or Micah or Sam or Fowler are creating pressure on the edge, they can't step up because that pocket is being pushed back in their lap. And I know damn sure well that Mazi can do that. He's already when Jonathan Hankins comes out and says Mazi Smith is one of the strongest dudes on the team, that's scary. He ain't even start off-season stuff yet. You know what I mean? And he's already one of the strongest dudes on the team. Crazy.
Exactly, Scott. And like, if you put Hankins out there and Mazi at the same time, good luck trying to run up the middle. Because man, I'm telling you, he's gonna be trying to run up the brick wall, and that's
you'll see it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you'll 100% see those two guys out there. But what I love about Mazi is that, you know, if it's second and long or what have you, you don't have to take him. Mazi is not a 1 or 2 down guy. He's a guy that can stay out there in second and long, and on third and short situations, if teams want to do play actions and he's in there, he can push that pocket. So that's what I love about Mazi Smith. Now, if we're talking, you know, third and long, if we're talking obvious pass rushing downs, yeah, you can roll with end game. You know, get your end game out there, what have you. But if we're talking third and medium where they might run, or we're talking second and long where they can still run, and he has that option to push the pocket, man, Mazi Smith gives you such versatility that this Cowboys team haven't had on the interior.
Exactly, Sky. And I'll leave you like this with this last question, Sky. And I'll leave you this, man. I'm just excited for the pass rush. But in your opinion, right, Sky, if it was a 3rd and 8, who are you going to put at your finish line? Basically, the line to basically win me this game. Who's your top 4 rushers, or who's your top 4 that you're going to put out there? And I'll leave you with that, Sky. Peace.
Who's playing well that day? Who am I playing against? Yeah. Oh, you still on the horn? I'm gonna answer your question, Los. But again, I'm you know me, I'm a context guy. You know, if DA is balling the hell out, why would I take DA out the game? You know, but I'll answer your question. We'll have fun with it. I'll go Micah Parsons, Demarcus Lawrence. Hard to tell. I love me some Dante Fowler in the pass rush situation, man. I really do. Dante and Sam, like that would that'll be my 4. No context added. Just give me 4 pass rush. That'll be my 4, man. Man, you could do so many combinations though. God. That's what. So Danny got. That's what I got. Danny Law, Micah, Sam, Fowler. That's without any context, knowing what the hell's going. Because he talking about 3rd and 8, 4th quarter for the game on the line. Like, who's playing well, man? Who ain't playing well? Like I could name them dudes, but what if somebody's playing terrible? You know, then I'm not putting them on the field. But yeah, those would be my 4. No context given, though. No context given. Big Bo is not. We'll talk about defense tackle. I think we'll go defensive tackle probably next week, maybe end of this week. We'll see. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about Big Bo. Big Bo, I'm not writing Big Bo off just yet either. But he ain't Mazi or Hankins. Like that's just is what it is. At that point. Schiff says DA had 8.5 sacks. Where does he need to step up? I think he could be better as an edge setter and run defender, for sure. He's not a guy that's going to create on his own as much. But again, that's not me trying to knock DA, because his game is not a guy that's creating on his own or for others. He's kind of that cleanup guy. He's kind of that cleanup pursuit / guy, and he does it at a high level. But if it was a specific thing, I think he actually got worse as a run defender last year, probably because he's trying to get better as a pass rusher. And I don't think he set the edge all that well last year compared to other years. So I would say in those aspects, as a pass rusher, I just think he's capped. Again, sacks aren't everything. Definitely, if you go look at the last 2 seasons with DA, he's probably been a recipient of the most cleanup sacks on the team, which is awesome, right? Like, you need a guy to be able to finish those things. But especially in 2021, boy, all but like one of those sacks were just him kind of cleaning things up. So that's why I actually have him off the field. If you give me a gun to my head, 4 pass rushers out there, give me Demarcus Lawrence, give me Doran Armstrong. I'm sorry, Micah Parsons, Sam Williams, and Dante Fowler. I just think those guys are better pass rushers than DA. And that's not me saying I don't like him, because obviously I want to keep him on this team. I think he serves a purpose. I'd just be shocked if he just took another step as a pass rusher. I would be, honestly. Let's see here. Imagine, Tom said, imagine you're on the O-line having to have this unit that can literally rotate a second unit. Facts. That's another thing, right? Like, when we go look at, so check it. Technically, right? Let's pretend we come out nickel. Come out nickel at some point. You got your 2 linebackers out there, maybe big nickel, whatever. And you just got 4 rushers. And your 4 rushers are, your starting 4 rushers in that sense are Micah, D-Law, and then you got Mazi in there and Osa. Let's just do standard. But let's say we get to a point where we're swapping guys. Your second unit could technically be Sam Williams, Doran Armstrong, Dante Fowler. Like, that's your second unit. If you wanted to go that route, say you want traditional base and Armstrong's your guy, right? Okay, we're going traditional base. Micah's going to be kind of that Leo or Sam, depending on how they want to deploy it. Your second unit is still Dante Fowler, a Sam Williams. Those guys probably start somewhere else. So yeah, man, you're right. You're absolutely right. Greg said, how many sacks will Mazi get? Maybe we'll save that question for later. I think Mazi can be a sack guy too. Now I don't think he's gonna be. I'm gonna view him as more of a former Alabama kid, not Jonathan Allen. Maybe a little bit Payne, but Payne snapped last year from a sack department. Tomlinson was never a 6-7 sack guy, but he gets you 3 to 4. It might be able to get you that for sure. All right, man, y'all been fantastic today. Wait, super chats. Don't want to forget that. Make sure I didn't forget that. I agree, Professor. I think when you're talking about Mazi, it's not sacks really. It's about his pocket presence, pushing things, back or whatnot. All right, we good on that department. Now I know these ain't the same players, but I mean, it just slipped my mind. Haloti Ngata, right? Like Haloti Ngata wasn't going to give you 8-9 sacks type dude, but he was a guy that could push that damn pocket but play the run as well, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Super chat.
Shout out to Towboat Ty. He dropped 5 and said, Cowboys defense reminds me of a hockey team. We got fresh lines, defense in the hole to put out against a tired offense. I agree. I 100% agree, man. This team is so deep. Technically, the second units at each level probably could put up a fight with some teams start. Not every team, but with some teams starting units offensively. Straight up. We are good, CJ. We are good, as you can see. And this is what saddens me about this announcement. I usually don't announce when our sponsorships end, but we had so much fun during the season with Boston Scientific. One last shout out to them. But that sponsorship has ended with the company. We are no longer in partnership with Boston. The contract ran out. We'll look to revisit it during the season. But man, did we have fun with that one. So bills are paid as we speak. Other sponsorships are already in the works and will be rolled out here. But most of that will probably lead up to camp and then the season. So damn, man. All the jokes y'all gave me from Boston Scientific was just chef's kiss, top of the line. Y'all the best, man. Y'all the best. What about New York Scientific? Yo, that's good. That's good stuff. All right, look. So as y'all already know, no Voch Lombardi live show, so I won't be on that nothing later. That we're taking a legitimate break there. He is though rocking on Twitch, so make sure y'all follow him on Twitch. But Mo will be back on later tonight for the A to Z Sports Prime Time. And obviously, I'll be back tomorrow. Again, I'll know by the end of the week on the actual specifics of the off-season schedule. But there will obviously be a shift in what we do, and then eventually I'll be taking a legitimate vacation. Don't get those much, but when you legitimately work 6 or 7 days for 6 or 7 straight months, you gotta get like a week in there. You know what I'm saying? So that'll happen at some point in July. I won't be on. Mo will be, but I won't be. And I think we're gonna possibly alternate days here starting next week. But I'll have specifics for you guys, man. I have specifics. With that said, CJ, it's sometimes I toss them something. Most of the time, we have a guy, we have a marketer who does a ton of sales marketing, manager who does a ton of work. I mean, shout out to Nick and Zach. They put in work. I do not envy them. I say that all the time. I don't envy y'all job. No, sir. Y'all can go out here and try to sell, and I appreciate that. But this is me. This is what I do. All right. I'm going to go ahead and press this button before we just get into overtime and talk about a bunch of nothing. I'm going to go ahead and press this button and go ahead and give it overtime before we talk about a bunch of nothing. There we go. Yeah, CJ, I'll be back tomorrow. 8:30-ish. Count on me being here, man. Likely another State of the Union. I kind of teased both of the State of the Unions we're going to do this week, but we'll be back. I got y'all. We out here, though. Love you. Peace. Hey, look, Hooters ain't out the question. She. We do not discriminate when it comes to sponsorships. Forget about it. It's crazy toxic.
Bomb Squad!